All right, guys, it's Gaz here outside Old Trafford for Full Time Devils. Now, usually I like to give my say on football, but let's face it, I don't know what I'm talking about. So I'm with someone who does know what he's talking about. It's Greg Johnson from Squawka. Greg, I want to talk about the main man at Old Trafford this season. I think he's just been absolutely outstanding. Bastian Schweinsteiger. Do you agree?
I love him, yeah. I mean, it wasn't the best performance ever against Arsenal, but I think taking the season as a whole so far, he's just been a great bit of touch of class, really, finding space where space shouldn't even be, and he's just the leadership on the pitch, pointing places. But he does it in a way that the players actually seem to go for it. He's not some bloke there shouting the odds. He's actually, he clearly knows what he's doing.
Rooney.
Well, there is that. But I mean, I think he's worked with Van Gaal before in the past. He knows how to bring the philosophy into being. So I think he's going to be a really important sub-leader in the team.
It's sort of like, I mean, when I'm at Old Trafford watching the game, a lot of the time I'm not even watching the ball. I'm just watching what Bastian Schweinsteiger's doing, and he just doesn't stop. For a bloke of his age, probably some would say getting to the end of his career now, and he's just completely bossing it all the time. For me, in a way that I've not seen a player do. Well, Paul Scholes didn't do it with his expressions, just did it by his footballing ability, but I've not seen a midfielder run a game like that since Paul Scholes at Old Trafford. Would you agree?
No, definitely. I mean, he is obviously a different player to Scholes, a bit more box to box, and he's obviously a bigger lad as well. But I think as long as you put the right people around him, I think we saw with him and Carrick, as you say, he's getting a bit older with the legs and stuff. They're not the best pair together against a team like Arsenal, but I think in the right matches against the right opposition, like I said, I think you open games up. And I think you look at Mata, people call Mata a playmaker, and obviously he creates a lot of chances, but the way Schweinsteiger will just force something through the middle, Mata likes to play a bit short, whereas he's a bit like Herrera as well, but he's obviously just got that bit more proven quality. I just love watching him get the ball, see what's about, and then just ping it first time, and it really does liven up our play going forward.
So you say if he has the right players around him, who do you think is a perfect midfield match with Schweinsteiger at Manchester United this year? Because we've tried a few different things. A lot of things haven't worked. Occasionally they have worked. Like Carrick and Schweinsteiger look like it would surprisingly work until the Arsenal game.
Yeah.
Who would you rather see alongside him? I'd rather see Schneidlin personally.
Yeah, definitely.
What would you say?
Well, I'd say Schneidlin, he's got the legs and he's a bit more mobile as well. Against Arsenal, I think that's who we needed. I'm not against Carrick and Schweinsteiger together because obviously they're both very, very good controllers of games. But it's got to be the right opposition. When you've got the pace of Arsenal, Santi Cazorla, he might be this big, but he really, really did run that game. So you just need to be a bit more canny about how we use that pairing. But I think he's the kind of player that can pretty much work with anyone. I'm kind of excited to see what he can do for us in Europe and in the Premier League going forward.
Definitely, and you mentioned Ander Herrera before as well.
Oh, yes.
I find Ander Herrera an interesting player because I think he's brilliant.
Yeah.
However, where do we actually play him? Do we play him as part of the two in front of the defence, or would you rather see him as a number 10 and someone like Schneidlin play as part of that two with Schweini?
Well, I think Herrera, unfortunately, his best role in United would be in a 4-3-3 as the most advanced midfielder, because I don't think he's quite got what it takes to be like a second striker in the 10 role personally. But what I think would be quite interesting to try is, obviously you saw it, sorry to go back to Arsenal again, but the way they use Aaron Ramsey on the right sometimes, obviously Matters there. I'd quite like to see Herrera put there occasionally, just to give a bit more traction down the right and kind of cut inside and kind of ruffle feathers, because I mean he naturally drifts there. He's hard working and he gets stuck in, so I think it'd be an interesting experiment to see.
I actually thought about playing Wayne Rooney there personally.
Wow.
I thought let's try Wayne Rooney there. I mean, obviously it was a long time ago that he last did it, 2008, but we did win the Premiership and the Champions League that year. So I want to see Wayne Rooney there. He was pushed there against Arsenal and I thought he was a little bit better. But for you, does Wayne Rooney deserve to be dropped now?
It's
big question.
Yes. I mean, on form, of course, yeah. But the problem with Rooney is he can often. I mean, he looks less likely by the week, but he always looks like a player that can just make something happen. I mean, I thought against PSV in the last 20 minutes we looked absolutely aimless in the attack. We were just trying everything. It was too chaotic. That's exactly the moment where it's like, oh, we really, really miss Rooney at this point, because he might be slower, he might not have the explosiveness anymore, but he can usually, by hook or by crook, he can find a goal. Or he can just, set something up. It might not be beautiful anymore, it might not be the most exquisite football, but he just makes things happen. I mean, but then again, he hasn't been recently, so it's a tricky one. He's got to be dropped by form, but I'd still like to think he can offer something this season.
I hope you're right, but I'm starting to lose hope on Wayne Rooney, and it's such a shame because I wanted to see him play because I know he can do something. And you know what? Finally, this is a pretty difficult question actually, but So far in the season,
Yep.
we're in October. Who are your top 3 Manchester United players so far this year?
I think number 1, it's got to be Chris Smalling.
Chris Smalling.
I think
Astounding.
he is the player that's improved most under Van Gaal. I think he's really come into his own. He's the only one of the kind of batch that Fergie left behind that's really stood up and become. Okay, he's not as good as Rio and Vidic yet, but he's definitely the most senior one.
He's actually getting there, though.
He
I'm
is
not even
getting
just
there.
saying it. He's one of the best in the Premiership at the minute,
Absolutely.
I'd say.
And I felt sorry for him against Arsenal because. I mean, Daley Blind's been good, but again, you got to pick your spots. I think he was the wrong choice to play against such a fast back line. So for a fast front line as Arsenal, and Smalling had everything to do by himself, and he just got swamped. But Smalling's number 1 for me. I think Mata, you can't look past him. I know. I said he's not like a playmaker as I'd call it and stuff, but he gets goals, he makes things happen, and he looks good in that right-sided role. I know a lot of people don't like it, but I actually think he's actually having his best form for United in that role.
He's been involved in a ridiculous percentage of our goals as well this year.
Yeah, he really has. It's that cleverness, just tucking behind the defender unseen. He's too small, he's too slow, and he's not quite a dribbler to get past people one-on-one. So what he does, he just ducks behind.
He's clever.
Yeah, exactly. It's his intelligence.
Play it.
Exactly. And then in terms of like movement as well, I mean, Martial.
Yeah.
And he's got to be number 3 for me. He's just been absolutely electric, and he's made our attack look twice as good.
And Schweinsteiger a close 4th, I'd say.
He is, yeah. I just think because he's been well managed so far, so he hasn't quite been playing every single game and stuff. I think those 3 have contributed more overall to the team so far.
Definitely. Thank you, mate. Anyway,
no worries.
Full-Time Devils, outside Old Trafford, Greg from Squawker and Gaz from Full-Time Devils.
They're both quiet in character, but when you get them on the field, their talent is undeniable, in both ways. And I was lucky enough to obviously grow up with Scholesy, and then I was lucky enough to then go on to Real Madrid and be able to play for 3 years with probably the best player that I've ever played with.